Okay. Hello and welcome to this video lecture series on behalf of Project SATHEE. Welcome to Law of Crimes. I'm Dr. Animesh, and today we are going to continue our discussion on the topic of private defense. Right to private defense is our topic today. In private defense, we have already discussed some of the aspects of private defense in the last lecture. You can visit that. And obviously, in the last class, we discussed that private defense is a very is a very primary and basic right. That right is given to us on the pretext that the state cannot be omnipotent. The government cannot protect everyone. So the government has given us authority. The law has given us authority to protect ourselves in case of danger. So in the last class, we discussed that what are the circumstances or limitations of this right to private defense, who can exercise right to private defense, against whom which this when this right can be exercised, how right to private defense is a shield and not a sword. We discussed all those things, and today we are going to continue our discussion on that topic. Moving on, existence of right to private defense. Now, in the last class, we discussed that right to private defense is available when there is a threat. There is a threat of harm to one's body or property, and by extension, to the body and property of others as well. Means the first fundamental rule of right to private defense is you can exercise right to private defense only when there is a threat. Now, when do we have a threat? A threat means that that some kind of harm should be imminent. आपको कोई immediate खतरा होना चाहिए, then only you can exercise right to private defense. Right to private defense does not give you a right to act prematurely, in the sense that you have a threat, but the threat is not imminent. Matlab, see, we are all under threat. We all might have enemies and they might harm us, but it does not give you a right to preempt, in the sense कि आप पहले ही जा करके जिससे आपकी दुश्मनी है उनको harm कर दो. No, that is not allowed. Similarly, it does not give you right to vengeance, that once the threat is over, you can go and take vengeance. So right to private defense only protects you from what we call imminent threat. Imminent threat means that the threat should be close enough that you will have to respond. There is a fight or flight response. The threat should be of such a nature that if not stopped, if not repelled, that threat will result in harm. नुकसान हो जाएगा. तो इसके लिए बच्चों इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि थ्रेट जो है जब तक इमिनेंट ना हो जाए, अगर किसी ने मुझे धमकी दे रखी है तो मेरे पास राइट टू प्राइवेट डिफेंस नहीं आएगा. राइट टू प्राइवेट डिफेंस आने के लिए द थ्रेट शुड बी इमिनेंट, मीन्स अभी खतरा है मुझे, मीन्स द थ्रेट शुड बी ऑन माई फेस, means I have a right to private defense only when the threat has materialized. खतरा बिल्कुल सामने आ जाए तब राइट टू प्राइवेट डिफेंस है, वरना राइट टू प्राइवेट डिफेंस नहीं. अच्छा, अब इसमें आपने पीपीटी में देखेंगे दैट द थ्रेट कैन बी एक्चुअल और द थ्रेट कैन बी परसीव्ड. नाउ व्हाट दैट इज इट मींस, आई विल गिव यू सम एग्जांपल्स. वेरी सिंपल, दैट इन द राइट टू प्राइवेट डिफेंस, सपोज देयर इज अ थ्रेट in the sense that there is an actual aggressor, somebody is actually coming to harm. Or on the other hand, suppose a threat is not actual, but I perceive the situation as a threat. यानी मुझको लगा कि खतरा है. In that case, what will happen? Let's take 5 examples. First example is, let's say somebody, there is a couple, there is a married couple, and it's their anniversary. Now the husband says to his wife that I'm going to be busy, I'm not coming home tonight, and you sleep and all. The wife is disappointed, obviously, but the husband intends to surprise her. And in order to surprise her, the husband climbs up the pipe and he reaches the second floor in which the house is situated, and he jumps into the balcony and tries to come by window. Now, while all these things is happening, the wife wakes up and she thinks, or obviously she hears that somebody is coming through the pipe and somebody is in the balcony, the person is about to enter. Suppose wife had a gun And immediately before she thought that somebody is going to enter, and since it was dark, the moment she saw someone breaking into the house, entering through window, she fired. And the bullet, obviously, she was accurate enough to kill the person. Now the question is, and obviously the person was her husband, who came to surprise her with a diamond ring or something, diamond necklace or something. So the question that comes is whether she has committed an offense, whether the wife who shot her husband has committed an offense or not. Let's take second example. Suppose you are minding your own business and it's your birthday, and few of your friends, they made a plan that they are going to surprise you. So they'll come with an Omni van. Omni is a very famous car, and actually it's famous for being a favorite of those who are in kidnapping business. So suppose your friends hired an Omni car in order to surprise you. They put on a ski masks or no, bilkul wo, they put on masks and they came behind you and they tried to drag you into that vehicle. Obviously, what they are actually trying to do is to take you to a location where there is a party for your birthday. But you immediately saw that few people have come and they are trying to actually drag you inside the Omni vehicle. Suppose you had a knife, you took out that knife, you stabbed one or two of your friends. Now the question is whether you acted in right to private defense. Third example can be even more simple. Suppose let's say that a person came running behind you with a knife, and you thought that the person was about to attack you, but actually person was making a reel. That person was about to attack. They were trying to make a reel, and after making the reel, they would have asked you, "Camera ki taraf dekhkar haath hilaiye, wave towards the camera," and something like that. But you saw somebody coming to you, and whatever you had, you took a stone and you just attacked that person, harmed that person. Whether you acted in private defense. Now, in all these three examples, the answer is yes. You have exercised right to private defense, because there was, while there was no actual threat, but there was definitely perceived threat. Perceived threat means that a person, you feel threatened that somebody is coming to attack you. Actually, you were not under threat, but you understood that somebody was coming to kill you. And that is perfectly all right. Your right to private defense exists when there is a existence of a threat. Now, the threat might not be actual, but if you feel threatened, you had a right to private defense. We take the viewpoint of the accused, the person who has actually caused some harm or who has killed someone. Whether they have a right to private defense or not, we look through the eyes of the accused. So अगर उसे खतरा लगा, अगर आपको खतरा लगा, somebody has come to kill you and you exercise right to private defense, turns out the person was playing a prank on you, or there was a real shooting or something, and number of nonsense happens in the name of Instagram reels. So whether you have right to private defense, answer is yes. Then again, it should be a prudent person test. Prudent person test means that whether a person in that position, which is the same position as you, will exercise the same level of will perceive same level of threat or not. See, the person might be paranoid. There are people who are paranoid in such a way that even if there is no threat, suppose it's 10 in the morning, somebody comes to your door, and the moment you open the door and you kill that person, and you say, sir, I thought that he was there to rob me. The court will say, what nonsense. A person with ordinary intelligence, if somebody comes at your door, who thinks that the person is a robber? What idea you had that this person is a robber? See, in the first example we took, that the husband of that woman, the husband of the woman, he actually climbed up the pipe and came through the balcony and was trying to break in the house. Now, obviously, if somebody is trying to break into your house by jumping into your balcony, their motivations are never good. It's common. An ordinary person of ordinary intelligence will understand that somebody has come to kill them. This is very normal. But if somebody comes on your front door, rings a bell, that does not mean they are murderers or robbers. You do not have to be paranoid in the sense that nobody is there to attack you at every point of time. Sometimes some people have that post-traumatic stress disorder PTSD, or they might feel differently. But some people get threatened even in ordinary situations. So that is not about right to private defense. An ordinary person will that person feel threatened or not? That is the question. Okay. So prudent person test is applied, that the right to private, if right to private defense is exercised by a person, now that person, whether that person acted in such a way that a normal or ordinary or prudent person would have acted. मतलब जैसा एक ordinary व्यक्ति एक्ट करता, क्या उसने उसी तरीके से एक्ट किया है या उसने beyond उसके एक्ट किया, यानी कि the person acted in completely irrational or malified way. You kill your enemy. There is a case, very interesting case in Odisha, that what happened कि एक गांव में ना सत्यनारायण की कथा दिया, कोई कथा चल रही हो, कोई पूजा चल रही होगी, and there was a person from whose land there was a way to the village lake. There was a lake or what, तालाब था, पोखर, तालाब जो भी कहिए आप उसको. There was a pond. The correct term is pond. There was a pond which was used for water by the entire village, and the one way of that particular pond was from the house of the accused. जो accused था, उससे घर से रास्ता जाता था. So what happened? The deceased, the victim, he was taking part in that puja, and he had some utensils that he came to wash in that pond. Now the deceased had an enmity with the victim. Okay. So when the person was coming back from after washing utensils in the pond, he was coming back and he was passing through the residence of the accused. Accused attacked him with a bamboo stick and attacked him multiple times, and killed him. Now when the question attacked, he said, sir, I thought he was a thief. The court said, see, fact number one, you knew there was a puja going on, and you knew that people use your land to get access to that pond, and that person was coming from that pond after washing the utensils and all. There was absolutely no reason for you to believe that the person was a thief or an intruder. He was not trying to conceal himself. And it is ordinary practice that even if you see someone who should not be at that place, you should shout, "Who is there? Tell me, identify yourself, whatever." But you did nothing like that. You are simply waiting for that person to come, and immediately when that person came, you attacked the victim. So in this case, this is Bhagwan Barik case. In this case, court said, see, there is no existence of right to private defense because you acted in a malified manner. That person was your enemy and he was doing nothing illegal. He was not acting in any way fishy way. He was acting in a very plain and simple manner. He was acting bona fide way. He came, he had utensils, he was coming from the house, there was a puja going on. Everything was rational. So you acted irrationally. If you acted irrationally, there is no right to private defense. So all these 5 examples we took, you have to understand that the person, if there is an actual threat, there is the right to private defense. If there is a perceived threat, then also there is the right to private defense. But in this, we have to keep in mind that there has to be a prudent person test. That the person should be a prudent person. Okay. Now the 2 very important aspects. When right to private defense begins and when right to private defense ends. अब begins और ends का ध्यान समझिए बच्चों. As soon as the threat becomes imminent, right to private defense begins. As soon as the threat is there is right to private defense. Meaning thereby, means the moment somebody comes in front of you in order to attack you, there is an aggressor who has come to illegally harm you. The moment that happens, your right to private defense begins, and not before. If you have only threat that somebody is going to attack you in the future, the right to private defense doesn't begin. It begins only and only when the threat becomes imminent. It comes in front of you, and this is simple. The complexity arises when we have to understand when right to private defense ends. Now, when it ends as soon as the threat is neutralized. As soon as the threat is no longer there, the right to private defense ends. Let's take a few examples. First example is, suppose there are 4, 5, 10 people, they are coming towards you aggressively with danda, and that they are having kulhadi, and they are having all kinds of weapons, and then they are coming towards you. Now your right to private defense has begun, obviously, because they are coming towards you and the threat is imminent. Now, on to the coming, but you have a gun, you have some tricks up your sleeves. So you take out your gun and you fire. Suppose you hit 2 people, and the moment you hit 2 people, the rest of them, realizing that you have a gun, they start running away. Now, you fire again at that mob, that the crowd which is running away, and you hit again 2 people to the running crowd, and they died. Now the question is whether you acted in right to private defense. This is the first example. Let's take second example. Suppose a thief comes to your house, a thief comes to your residence, and you realize there is a thief, and he has come to steal something from your property and all. So you take a danda, you take a stick, and you hide yourself behind a wall. As soon as the thief enters, you hit that thief on his head with a stick. He falls flat. Behosh ho gaya. Now you pick a knife and you stab the thief multiple times and you kill him. Now the question is whether you have acted in private defense or not. Third example can be a situation when there is a person who comes to attack you, with, let's say, a sword or a knife, and he comes to attack you and he says, whatever you have, give to me or I'll stab you. Okay? And you pull out a gun. Seeing that gun, that person with a knife, he throws away the knife and he puts his hand like this. This is his hands. Mujhe goli mat marna. Sorry bhaiya, galti ho gayi. Now what you do? You still shoot him. Galti ho gayi. You are like mafia or something. You kill that person. Now in this question, or in these all questions, whether you acted in right to private defense? Now the common answer is no. Let's take all these 3 examples. Number 1, in the case in which the crowd was coming to attack you and you shot 2 people, that is right to private defense. That is covered under right to private defense. It was definitely your right to harm someone who was coming to harm you. Okay. But the moment the crowd started running away, the right to private defense ends. Meaning thereby, the right to private defense extinguishes as soon as the threat is neutralized. The moment they started running away, the threat is no longer there. So then you firing bullets towards them and killing 2 more people. Now that is a crime. There you don't have a right to private defense. You are not exceeded right to private defense. There was no right to private defense. You had no right to kill the people who were retreating, who were running away. You kill when When you have killed them when they were coming towards you, you had right to private defense, you exercised, you killed, fine. But the moment they were running away, there is no right to private defense. Similarly, when you hit that thief with that stick, it was well within your rights. That is right to private defense. But the moment the thief became unconscious, the thief he fell on the ground and became unconscious. Now, after that, if you took the knife and you stabbed that thief multiple times, you didn't act in the right to private defense. Absolutely, your actions are not covered by this exception. There is no defense to right to private defense. One, because the threat got neutralized as soon as the thief became unconscious. Now, you became, as soon as the threat is neutralized, the thief fell on the ground, became unconscious, your right to private defense ends at that point of moment. Now, from now on, you had all the right to, the only right you had was to call police. Hai, so as to, or you could have arrested him by tying that thief up. That would have been fine. But you could not have stabbed him. There is no right. You should not have stabbed him. That is something that's very important. Thirdly, in the third case, even if that person was coming to you with knife, you took out the gun and you shot him then and there, it would have been right to private defense. But if you took out the gun and he threw the knife and he raised his hand and he said sorry, now if you shoot that person, it becomes right. It is no longer covered under right to private defense because the threat is neutralized. Right? The moment threat is neutralized, there is no right to private defense. You understand? See, there is a very funny example to this. Many of you might have seen a very famous web series, Mirzapur. Now, Mirzapur, in season 1, in the very beginning, the advocate is there, and some person comes to him, and he shows him knife. कि वकील साहब जो है ना बिल्कुल it's very important case, and I want you to get a degree of not guilty. You should not argue or something like that. And then the Vakil Saab takes out the gun and he keeps it on the table. And he slaps that other person. That whole scene is very funny. But the moment threat is neutralized, there is no right to private defense. This is very important to understand. Okay? Yes, proportionality. Right to private defense is about proportionality. Proportionality simply means, as it shows, no more harm than necessary. The key point in this is that if in a case where there is a threat and the threat can be neutralized in a simple way or in a way that causes some harm, but the harm that has been caused is not excessive. If the threat is of a significant nature, then your response can be of a significant nature. It should be proportional. Without going into the complexity, let's say similarly come to the example. As the saying goes, do not bring gun to a sword fight. Yes, that means that you have to maintain proportionality. If somebody comes to you with his bare hands in order to attack you, you cannot use gun to kill him then and there, because that will be disproportionate. Obviously, this doctrine of proportionality means that you should not do more harm than that is necessary. Like if you see some people coming with sticks to beat you up, you cannot fire a cannon towards them, or you cannot, if you have suppose a heavy machine gun, you cannot use heavy machine gun to mow them down. You cannot be excessively brutal in right to private defense. Remember, it's a shield. So you cannot be excessively brutal while exercising right to private defense. You should exercise right to private defense in such a way that it should not do more harm than necessary. Whatever is required for you to defend yourself is perfectly all right. But if you do way more than that, that's not right to private defense. Like simple, suppose you have a threat of thieves a person who is a thief coming to your house and harming you, you can keep a dog. That's perfectly all right. You can lock the door. You can keep a watchman. But let's say you have multiple. Uh, you just put landmines on your property. That if a thief comes, he'll simply be blown away. That is disproportionate. That harm is not required. Or if you simply hire two snipers that whosoever even dares to look towards my property, you shoot them and shoot to kill. That is disproportionate. So you can exercise right to private defense, but that should be proportionate. Okay. But see, this particular doctrine of proportionality, it has one simple limitation. Limitation in the sense that whenever we have a person who is under threat, you do not expect that person to make the most rational decisions. वो बिल्कुल नपा तुला response करेगा ऐसी उम्मीद नहीं. When a person is under threat, they will not keep in mind this doctrine of proportionality to an extent that when you are threatened, it all becomes very animalistic. Animalistic means our instincts take over us. So whatever we can do in order to actually neutralize that harm, we will do. So proportionality is a very general idea in the sense that you should not think, you should not go way more brutal than it is required. But it is not expected of a person to do very measured harm. अगर मुझे कोई मर्डर करने आ रहा है तो मैं उसके पैरों पर गोली चलाऊं, बिल्कुल it is not expected of me. I can shoot to kill. ना? So proportionality simply, or obviously if I see somebody is coming to kill me, I will not think in that way that I should be I should only harm that person that much that that person is not dead or something. It is simply fight or flight response that we have. We'll simply attack and we'll kill the person in that case. Okay, there is one more interesting logic in this. Suppose if you have chance to escape, means if the threat becomes imminent and you have a chance to escape, whether you have a right to set private defense in that case as well or not. Means somebody comes to my house, but I have a back door from which I can run. Should I run or can I exercise right to private defense? The answer is yes, you can exercise right to private defense. We do not have push to the wall theory. Means we can only exercise right to private defense when we are pushed to the wall. That is not the case in Bharat. We are the country of Maharana Pratap and all. So even if you are not pushed to the wall, you have a scope of simply running away. If you choose not to run away and you exercise right to private defense, that is perfectly all right. Okay. Now comes to the proportionality doctrine, specifics of that proportionality doctrine. Specifics of that proportionality doctrine says that in certain cases of threat, you can exercise right to private defense to an extent of causing death of the assailant. जो मुझे मारने आ रहा है मैं उसके डेथ भी कॉज कर सकता हूँ in certain situations. In all the other situations, situations not covered in the list that I am about to tell you, you can exercise right to private defense. You can harm the aggressor, but you cannot kill the aggressor in other cases. Except in the cases which I will mention right now, you do not have the right to kill the aggressor. But if the threats that I am about to mention now, those threats exist, then you have definitely the right to even kill the aggressor. No problem. Now the first is when in defense of body, obviously when we are our body is threatened or body of any other human being is threatened, we can exercise right to private defense in 7 situations. Number 1 is when we are threatened with a death. अगर मुझको लगता है कि जो सामने वाला अग्रेसर है वो मेरा मर्डर करने आया है, I have all the right to kill that person. No ifs and buts. Number 2, if I think that the person has come to do grievous hurt, मतलब very grave injury that person is about to inflict. वो बिल्कुल लोहे का डंडा लेकर के आया है, and obviously that person is about to inflict grievous injury to me. मुझे पता है that person will pluck my eyes or broke my bones or something like that. I know the person is a black belt in karate and one karate chop and my bones will be broken. I have a right to kill that person. Grievous hurt, very grievous injury. Then third is obviously rape. If it is there is a threat that somebody is going to rape you, or any woman is supposed to get any woman is under threat of rape, you can kill the person who is about to do that act. You can kill the rapist. There is no problem. Fourth is just like it happens, rape happens with women. The men can be subjected to sodomy or unnatural sex. In that case, calling it unnatural is problematic, but still sodomy means men can be sexually assaulted as well. So if a man is threatened that okay, that person is going to be sexually assaulted, they can also kill. Similarly, then we have kidnapping and abduction. If you are under a threat that somebody is going to kidnap you or abduct you, there is minors can be kidnapped while majors can be abducted. Those who are major can be abducted. If you threat somebody is going to kidnap you or abduct you, you can kill that person. Somebody is pulling you in a Omni van, you can stab them, kill them, whatever you do. There is absolute right to private defense. Then we have acid attack. Acid attack is if you are threatened that somebody is going to throw acid towards you, you have all the rights, or towards anyone. You can even kill them in order to exercise right to private defense. And then we have confinement. If you think that somebody is going to confine you at a place where you will have no recourse, in the sense that you will not be in the position to approach anyone for your release, in that case you can kill them. Now remember all the Bollywood movies or daily soaps you have seen. Without exception, all daily soaps have this plot that the hero or the heroine are abducted and they are placed in a old and abandoned warehouse somewhere, and they are tied to a chair or tied to a pole. They are kidnapped. So that happens if somebody is confining you to a secluded place. अगर आपको कोई ऐसी जगह पे confine या बंधक बना रहा है जो कि which is a secluded or confined place, means you will not be able to approach anyone for your release. In that case, you have right to kill them. Suppose somebody is tying you to the pole in front of the main road. It means चौराहे पे अगर कोई आपको बांध रहा है एक पोल से, obviously you will be in a position to approach the authorities. आप शोर करेंगे 100 लोग आ जाएंगे. That is not the case in which you can kill someone. But if somebody is killing you, is confining you in such a manner that you will not be in a position to actually approach the police authority or approach anyone, any legal lawful authorities, in that case you can kill that person to avoid that confinement. That is very important. आपको अपने घर पे भी कोई confine कर रहा है, is trying to actually gag you. In that case, there is a right to private defense to the extent of causing death. इनके अलावा you cannot cause death of any person. Now coming on, when you can cause death of a person in defense of your property, this is very interesting. Even in order to defend your property, you can kill. What are those circumstances? First and foremost, robbery. If somebody is coming to rob you, in that case, you have every right to kill them. If there is a case of robbery, kill that person straight away. There is no problem. Killing a robber is definitely fine in our law. There is no problem with killing a robber. Then we have house breaking by night. If somebody is trying to break into your house, house breaking means somebody is trying to enter by force and not by permission. If somebody comes to your house and knocks, that is not house breaking. That is trying to enter into house. But if somebody tries to break into the house, and that too at night, then in that case, it is very much clear that the person is not having any lawful intent. that person has come to actually harm you or do something illegal. In that case, you can kill them. Even if you don't see whether they are in a position to harm your body or not. If somebody breaks into your house at night, they might be a thief, they might be a robber, whatever the case may be. For whatever reason, if somebody is breaking into your house at night, you kill them straight away, no problem. Then we have mischief by fire. Mischief means destruction of property. If somebody is trying to harm or destroy your property by fire, आग लगा रहा है घर को, खेत को, फसल को, now that used to happen very frequently. That's a huge problem. Burning someone's house, burning someone's property by fire is considered a grave matter. In that case, in order to defend your property, you can even kill the person who is trying to burn your house or burn your property. Nobody has a right to burn your property. In that case, you have every right to harm. You can shoot to kill. That is something very interesting in this particular approach. So the death is justified. Also, if somebody is committing theft while being armed, theft is also considered a situation in which you can kill someone. But in the rest of the cases, somebody is trying to defame you, forgery, cheating, all those cases, you do not have a right to private defense to such an extent. Now, your right to private defense only is exercised when there is an imminent harm. So that proportionality has to be kept in mind. All in all, if you want to understand right to private defense, you can see simple logic is there that it's a defensive right. You can protect yourself by using any means, but you have to do proportionate harm. But you cannot harm someone more than that is required. You cannot kill them if they have come to beat you up, simply beat you up. They're not trying to kill you, so you cannot kill them. There are specific situations in which you can even cause death of the other person. आप सामने वाले की हत्या तभी कर सकते हैं जब जैसा भी मैंने आपको बताया, there are certain situations in which you can cause the death of the person. So that is all about right to private defense. You have to keep all these things in mind, keep reading about it, and obviously we'll practice questions in due time. This completes our discussion on private defense. We have all discussed all the rights of private, all the general exceptions we have discussed. This is the last lecture of this module. And the next topic is culpable homicide. That's a very interesting topic, very important as well. So I'll see you in the next class. This is going to be very interesting. So tune in. Come back for the next class. Thank you so much. I'll see you all